You're watching Notepad with me, Ibrahim Sani. Our focus today will still be on tech talent development. A few weeks ago, I spoke with Sumitra Nair of MDEC to discuss how tech development is actually coming across in this part of the world. Today, we shall have a chat with Robert Walters on tech talent development, particularly on a report that they've done. Joining me is Ong Geok Eng, the manager for IT infrastructure as well as sales for Robert Walters. GE, thanks again for having the time with us. Before we jump into this discussion of tech talent development, let's talk a little bit about Robert Walters. What do you guys do?
Okay, so Robert Walters, we are global specialist recruitment firms. What we do is that we partner with clients to actually identify right talents for them, and we manage the recruitment process from identifying the right candidates up till they are on board with the clients.
And of course, the hiring the spectrum is covering the entire gamut, and tech is of course on the rising, I guess, spectrum. Why did you guys come across having to do this particular report in the first place?
Okay, so we have seen in terms of the Southeast Asia region, there is definitely a lack of talent shortage in tech area. So this is an area that is very real. And
sorry, lack of talent shortage. There is a shortage of
correct.
Okay.
So it's a lack of tech talent shortage across the Southeast Asia region. So the reason that we came up with this booklet is, of course, to identify, what are the ways that companies could look into how could they attract or retain talent at the same time, because we are going into a digital economy. So basically there is a difference in type of roles that the companies are looking at as well. Therefore, how can companies actually tackle this shortage?
And of course, it's not just for the companies. I guess job seekers can also make use of this report and try to understand what skills they can upskill themselves,
Definitely.
which we will get back very shortly on that. The report is titled 5 Lessons in Tackling the Tech Talent Shortage. What are the kind of lessons that we can unearth from this report?
Okay, so the 5 lessons that we can look at is that companies could go the extra mile. For example, looking at the recruitment approach like a strategic marketing campaign. We could also look into benefits. Apparently, it's not a one-size-fits-all for all companies. Then we will also look into learning and development at a more holistic point of view, and we look into leadership as well.
Okay, and I've got some numbers here from the booklet. It says that 68% of hiring managers said it took 3 months or more to fill an open tech position.
Yep.
So we're looking at 2 out of 3 companies, they can't fill up that particular tech position, and it takes them 3 months or more for this.
Yep.
Is this normal for this kind of role?
I would say it's becoming increasingly normal because there is a rise in demand for certain tech talents. At the same time, in terms of talent development across the Southeast Asia region, probably we are not at the peak maturity level yet, so it's the lack. Therefore, when companies are looking to hire tech talent, it will take a longer time to identify the right person with the right skills to come on board.
What specific job description, when you say tech talent, is it like an IT support? What is it?
Okay, so traditionally, IT is just IT support in any organizations. So obviously now we are moving into digital transformation. The type of roles and needs are slightly a bit different. So in a digitally connected world, we have seen a rise in terms of roles, for example, like data science, big data. So these are very niche roles that are very in demand. And of course, with their major data breaches across the world as well. This has prompted a rise in terms of security professionals, cyber security actually, and also certain companies, they have decided to move some of their technology from on-premise to cloud. Therefore, you see a rise in cloud professionals.
But companies can't stop and can't wait. Does this mean that foreigners now have to come in and fill these roles if the local, I guess, job market is not providing enough talent for this?
Definitely there is a local talent pool available, but then again, because it is rather limited, so we do advise employers to look out of the area, specifically overseas, and this is very relevant especially in Southeast Asia region because of the close proximity. So the candidates are still willing to move around these couple of countries.
What about pay? Is pay a big problem for tech talent?
So pay, definitely each company would have the standard. I would say probably standard market increment, we are looking at about probably 10 to 20%. Yeah, but for certain tech talents, which is a bit niche, whereby the demand is really great in this area, the expectations could actually rise above 20%.
It says here 70% of hiring managers say that the shortage of tech talent has negatively affected their speed of product development.
Yep.
And again, this would impact mainly tech-based companies, or it can be any other company.
So it's not just relevant across tech companies. We are looking at companies who adopt more into digitalization, for example, financial services. They could be banking, insurance, they could be telco, or other commerce organizations like manufacturing and engineering. So as long as they are looking forward to a transformation in place, therefore, you know, they would need a certain tech talents to come on board.
Okay, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more. We're from Walters and GE here on tech talent shortage. Don't go anywhere. Thanks for staying on with us. You're watching Notepad with me, Ibrahim Sani. Joining me is GE, or Ong Geok Eng, the Manager of IT Infrastructure and Sales at Robert Walters. Of course, they are a talent search pool, can I say that? Or recruitment?
We are a global specialist recruitment firm.
Okay, so there you go. So global recruitment specialist recruitment firm, and can't get any more specialist than tech talent. And it says here in the report that you guys just did, which is called the 5 Lessons Tackling Tech Talent Shortage, there are some benefits that tech professionals consider when choosing a company. On top of it is flexible hours, there's a bunch of other stuff, insurance and a bunch of other stuff, remote working. That's the thing, right? When we discuss, you know, the changing landscape of job placement, the traditional way of 9 to 5, having to come to office, everything is now, you know, topsy-turvy. As long as you have good internet connection, as long as the job gets done, that is the kind of thing that we want. But everything underlines the fact that you have the skill to collaborate, you have the skill to intercommunicate with your colleagues, with your clients. Those skills are just evergreen. Do you feel that those kind of skills, the one where we can consider as high thinking skills, is slowly losing its ground because technical skills like the ability to code, the ability to know your technical stuff is now on the rise?
I wouldn't say so, because ultimately when you are hiring a talent, you are not looking at just the technical aspect of it. Of course, the technical aspect of it forms the base of what they can do, but then there are other aspects of it, for example, the soft skills, their communications, their critical thinking, their problem-solving skills. So it will come as a package when clients are considering hiring the particular talent.
But with this kind of benefits that they demand, do you think that there is a problem in mismatch of expectations from employees looking to get a job and then companies, trying to find the right talent? Because companies want, efficiency, proficiency as well, but as clearly showed here, they want remote working, insurance for themselves, insurance for their families, and there's going to be a lot of demands coming from them.
Okay.
Do you think that the employees are holding the companies hostage because they do have a technical skill that not many others have in the talent pool right now?
Okay. I think a majority of these benefits that are listed over there, some of the companies would have probably A, or some of the companies would have B. Right? So it depends on what kind of employees you have within the organization, probably the demographics, and what do they require. So you would cater certain benefits in accordance to their needs. So for example, in terms of like flexible working hours, I have seen companies that offer flexible working hours. It is actually an agricultural company. So for their tech talents, they actually allow them to work a total of 40 hours per week, but it doesn't matter what time they come or what time they go, as long as they fulfill all these 40 hours. So in terms of remote working, because IT, you can be connected at home as well, not just at work. So there is a flexibility for people to work from home. And even not just within tech, other industries, we have seen candidates asking, for example, do you cover insurance for family as well? So that makes up an important aspect. But this is not a deal breaker for candidates to actually join or not join a company, but it is an added value that they could have to attract people to join the company.
Let's talk about the changing landscape of the tech sector, particularly when it comes to talent pool. In 2010, the demands are a bit different from today. How will the change happen, you know, in the next 10 decades to come? Because I'm sure in 2029 it's going to be so much different from it is today.
Okay, so definitely in terms of IT function, 10 years ago is very different from where we are right now. So right now we are seeing a lot of boom in startups as well. So this has actually indirectly prompted bigger organizations to relook into their digital efforts. They will want to accelerate as well. So with this, of course, we see many different types of roles that come up. Definitely, if let's say how in terms of the long range, where are we going to be 10 years from now? I wouldn't be able to tell, but I'm very optimistic that it's going to become very digitally connected, and a lot of the younger people nowadays are also digital natives.
So the kind of remuneration that we talk about from companies, do you think that companies are ready to pay big bucks for talents that actually demand it? Because it's not just about the tech sector and the talent pool regarding this sector. It's about the government also saying that we're stuck in the middle income trap. The government is also saying that, you know, there is not much changes in terms of wages, and we need to get the private sector to pay more in order for us to, you know, move up in the economic ladder. Where are we when it comes to remuneration, particularly when it comes to tech sector in specific, but of course remuneration, of course, in general as well?
Okay, I would say it is probably organization specific. In terms of tech, there are companies who are willing to actually pay to get the right talent on board. But then there are organizations as well when you take into consideration internal equity. So then in terms of salary, it would be a bit hard to manage. But generally, I think the perception now, hiring managers do understand that to get the right talent on board, it has to come with the correct compensation to attract them.
But do you think that the compensation is, we need to pay more right now for the workers?
I would say it is still quite competitive. So for certain niche skills, companies are okay to pay a bit more, but then there are also traditional IT related jobs that would be on the normal range of salary, and I think that is pretty competitive in the market.
Okay, so this is exactly what we're trying to get at, right? Because when we think about IT, we think about, you know, business support, IT support, you know, why is it that my computer is not switched on, that kind of stuff. Those are so, you know, 20 years ago, right? Right now we're looking at not just about the digital solution for the company, it's looking at mobile first, it's looking at trying to, you know, because last week was my FinTech week, the company, you know, a lot of regulators, Bank Negara and so on, trying to get companies excited about FinTech. So many things are involved in this particular sector. In fact, in the media sector as well, we're looking at publishers coming across as having the need to being able to sell on top of making news. So you're getting, you know, news people trying to make sales as well. Ethically, there's some issues there, but you know, we're trying to get people to you know, cross the kind of landscape between one skill and another. With all this hodgepodge of stuff, right? Do you think that it's becoming a little bit more complex in terms of how we determine what is a tech talent, what isn't, and therefore we have to compensate more because they're doing 2, 3, 4 roles and not just one?
Okay, so if you talk about the development of a talent of a person, yeah. So traditionally, if let's say employees shouldn't just limit in terms of hiring people just tech for tech. So for example, instead of looking at their career progression vertically, they could look at it laterally as well. For example, if let's say in a company, there is someone that is very good in data, in finance, but has a very good overview of systems as well, they would like to move into tech. So why not give them the opportunity? In that way, they will be able to retain the same talent in the organization as well as build up multiple skill sets. So if let's say a candidate is coming from an external, probably doing other areas externally, they would like to move into tech. Yeah. So given that they do not have the strong background in tech, but they have the interest and potential to take on a particular role, in terms of salary, they could look at probably a lateral, because they would need to learn new things as well. But if let's say it's a direct match, then you know, of course they will expect a certain increment.
Okay, we'll take a short break. When we come back, we'll discuss a little bit more about what specific upskill can employees do in order to improve themselves in the job market. Don't go anywhere. watching Notepad. I am Ibrahim Sani. We're talking about tech talent development. Specifically, if you're an employee out there and you're trying to upskill yourself in order for you to make yourself a little bit more competitive, we need to ask somebody from Robert Walters on what are the skills that are currently in need in the job market right now. So joining me is Ong Geok Eng, or GE. GE, let's talk about the kind of top 3 things, basically, what companies are looking for, particularly in the realm of tech talent. If somebody doesn't come from a tech background, what are the things that he or she can do in order for them to make themselves a little bit more marketable to be hired as a tech talent?
So in terms of upskilling, if let's say you don't come from tech, definitely there are a lot of courses or trainings that you can take to actually equip yourself in this area. So we have also seen some universities offering certain courses targeting a bit more relevant tech issues nowadays, for example, cybersecurity into data. So possibly if let's say they are early still in their studies, they could look into taking a little bit of these courses and incorporate that into their degree so that they're a bit more ready. But if let's say from the hiring manager's perspective, if I want to hire someone that, you know, doesn't have a tech talent, I would definitely look at the potential that they have, you know, via assessments, whether they are able to take on simple, maybe technically related matters that are related to the role. Second, in terms of personality as well, how they will be able to blend into the culture of the company. And third, probably in terms of, you know, how much they could actually grow into the role.
And of course, when you talk about, this is tying with your statement just now, lateral development as well, right? So, you know, for instance, when I started my career, I started off as a political secretary. I was trained in accounting, therefore I joined CIMB, and I did so many roles inside CIMB. It was just bizarre, right? From corporate strategy to business intelligence to data management, all the way to mergers and acquisitions. And then I jumped into media. That kind of thing, right? I mean, I'm not recommending this role for anyone because it's kind of a mess for myself, because every time I step into a new role, I have to learn something new. But at the same time, it kind of brings back a little bit more of an interesting perspective of how jobs can be done, right? Do you think that that kind of thing is important for people to actually look at? Try to be open to new ideas, new goals, even if they're not trained in that.
Definitely. So for example, a career progression for someone in tech, if let's say they start in operational and from there on they pick up a certain project management skills, they could obviously move into project management type of roles. But with certain skill sets, if let's say they continue within project management, they could go into program management. Or for example, they could take up roles such as IT business partners. So what IT business partners does is that they partner with the business and provide specific advisory in terms of tech. So that isn't really very much program or project related, but it's sort of like a subject matter expert in the particular thing.
You know, 3 months ago, or was it 2 months ago, I attended the WWDC conference in San Francisco, and then coming back from that conference, I downloaded Xcode, and now I'm trying to learn how to code and build an app. It's kind of interesting. I'm still slow in this sense, right? But it's so much interesting to learn something new. How often do you come across talent that is willing to learn something new because they find it interesting, not because they want to upskill themselves, but because they think it's neat for them to learn something new?
I would say majority in an organization, if you speak to tech talents nowadays, what actually drives them to be in that role is that there is a value in what they bring in terms of tech to the business. At the same time, I think the business also values what is their contribution and how it adds on to improving the whole business ecosystem in the company. So for tech talents, definitely if let's say they are looking to upskill themselves, they could learn various skills in tech because now in terms of the skill validity, because tech is moving so fast, they have to be up to date with the latest technologies.
We're entering the final stages of our interview, and Robert Walters is actually trying to be very niche or specialist in that area of hiring. And of course, Robert Walters also hires a lot of C-suite. How has the hiring process changed over the past few years when it comes to hiring a CEO or a CTO or a Chief Information Officer, Chief Data Officer? How has your worldview as a hiring specialist out there change in trying to determine the best talent for the C-suite role? Because I guess everything starts from the top. If you have a very IT incompetent person, I think that's just disaster for the organization.
Okay, I think the difference now in terms of getting the right C-level person on board is that the person definitely has to be strategic, able to frame policies or procedures that are, looking at what is the company's future. But in line of that, now there is an element of digitalization because companies are moving towards transformation. So what can they do to actually contribute in that area as well?
So therefore, things have not changed that much other than the digitization part.
Correct.
Wow, that's not much, right?
I would say the process is still roughly the same in terms of the candidacy that they require. Also, depending on different fields, they could come from the specialties on their side. But when you are in a C-level, it's a strategic role. They no longer look at, what could you code or, could you do support, because they are people that are technically doing that.
Yeah, that's not what I mean, right? I mean, of course, they are in the strategic role, but if they have no appreciation about how digitization takes place, mobile first, how internet works, appreciation of 4G and the speed that it has, plus the advent of 5G that is coming soon, if they don't have these kind of appreciation, it's going to be a bit tough, isn't it? Even for a strategic kind of role.
Okay, so they definitely have to have appreciation for newer type of technology. And in terms of mindset, instead of focusing on just, ROI of the business, they should be able to understand the value of tech that could drive the business forward. In that sense, if let's say the management and the staff are aligned, then they could actually move forward to a common goal.
Right. All right, thanks for having a chat with us. I've been speaking to Ong Geok Eng, the Manager of IT Infrastructure and Sales at Robert Walters. If you've missed any part of this interview, just head on to astro.com/notepad or just search for some of the key tech interviews that we've done at astro.com. You can watch this show on the AWANI app. Just download it at the Apple Store or the Google Play Store. That's it from me. I'm Ibrahim Sani. Thanks very much for watching. Goodbye. Thanks. Right, G.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.